Hey everyone, I'm Bahr from Gallant Games. I'm the lead designer and publisher, specifically of the Tiny D6 line of Gallant Games products, and we're here for Tiny Talk, our usually on Mondays, but today on Tuesdays, 15-minute talk show about Tiny D6, where I come on, I try to answer questions, handle anything that you want to throw at me in relation specifically to the Tiny D6 set of rules from Gallant Games. So let's get after it. First exciting news, aside from some international backers, Tiny Cthulhu has shipped out, so it will be going into retail and to stores soon. So that's exciting. Let's get into the questions. It's been a few weeks because there was a vacation for the GKG family, and we took some time off, and so we're coming back, and we only have one or two questions, so we're going to keep today pretty tight and focused, it sounds like, unless questions start popping up in the comments. So the first question, which was posted on Tiny Talk 3 in the comments on YouTube, was a question about enemies. So the question is, I'm new to Tiny D6, recently purchased Dragons and Frontiers. Thanks, appreciated. I can't seem to find this answer. What are enemies / monsters assumed to be masters of their weapons? Is it the default role for enemies to roll 2d6 or 3d6? That's a really good question, and that's something the older games aren't good at communicating, and that's on me as a designer. I'd like to, plead to the fact that, we've only been doing this for 5 years and we're getting better every day, but it is something we messed up on. My house rule has been, unless otherwise noted, it's 2d6, just like enemies are assumed to be proficient in their attacks. In later books, we've attempted to notate it with 3d6, specifically say mastered, proficient, or disadvantaged. So there's some clarity there, but that's all we can do at this point. And it's really easy for a group to kind of swing it as they want, so that's okay. You can make it happen. We had another question. It was a question about the dogfighting rules. There are dogfighting rules for Tiny D6. They're in the 2020 compendium, as well as Tiny D6 issue 31, if that's what you're looking for. The dogfighting rules were written by James M. Spahn. And now that I've said that, it's probably said it wrong, and I'm sorry, James. It's the hazard of only talking online with people sometimes. But they're called Blazing Stars, and they're dogfighting rules, and they're great. So if you're looking for those, that's where you can find them. Check them out. The compendium is the best deal by far, unless you really only want that little section of the rules, and then just pick up the Tiny Zine number 31. We got more Tiny Zines coming. We hit a backlog as we rolled in a new editorial process in the second half of this year. So we've got some new editors on the team, as well as a new setup for how we approach releasing a product with editorial feedback. So hopefully you'll see some improvements on the editorial side. That's not my strong suit, so we've been working hard to shore that up. That's been a big focus for 2021, and it's starting to pay dividends. It has meant a bit of a backlog as we're trying to get stuff done and out the door and work out the kinks in the process, but we're getting close to the end of that, so it's going to slide forward. So yeah, those are the only two questions we have. It's a really quick Tiny Talk today. So let's go over a couple things, and then if we don't have any more questions, we'll call it early, and that's fine by me. So Tiny Cthulhu is all delivered except for some international backers, and the PDF of the Illumination of Aldebaran, which is the campaign I'm writing that was promised. I have been working on the outline, but I recently, after our trip, we went to the Outer Banks. I decided to revise it. I'm a big fan of lighthouses, and the scope of deep history, you'll have to forgive my dogs in the background, the scope of deep history in the Outer Banks, from the lost island of Roanoke through the various wars and these lighthouses, really gave me some ideas on how I want to restructure the adventure and change some details of how it plays to make it a little deeper, a little richer, a little more engaging. It's going to be kind of a different take on an adventure. I don't write linear adventures or campaigns. I tend to write set pieces that are designed to be plugged in or out as you see fit, and multiple set pieces that create connecting threads. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be different. I'm really excited to see how it goes. But so the Illumination of Aldebaran is underway. That'll be a big release. in digital to all the backers Tiny Cthulhu, and we'll put it into print when we get it. The Tiny Bestiary has been renamed the Tiny Dungeon Campaign Guide. It's taking on a different tone as we've restructured it to be less of a bestiary. The bestiary is still there. We're not cutting that, but what we've done is we've said, okay, the bestiary is great, but let's make it a guide about running a tiny dungeon and by extension Tiny D6. We want to talk about the common pitfalls, the things GMs need to do and address that kind of come up repeatedly, almost like a really expanded FAQ/designer commentary on Tiny Dungeon and Tiny D6. And I think it's a much stronger book. And so that's taking some time as we revise that, but it's going to be totally worth it. And I'm really excited for that. Mechas and Monsters 2nd Edition is going to be our next Tiny D6 Kickstarter. It is written. It is in editing. The only thing we're waiting on is the campaign. We're going to have an included campaign setting and campaign with it. That's going to be fantastic. I'm working with 2 wonderful writers on it. It's super exciting, and they've done a killer job of a campaign where you play as Mecha, or you can play as the Kaiju, or you could run 2 groups and they could intersect in this battle, and it's really great. They're not done. They're still working it. But as soon as it's done, we'll get it in editing. And then once that's done, we're going to hit the Kickstarter, and we're going to roll for it. I'm really excited for this one. I think it's going to be great. We're going to take that book-only route we'd like to take now. Hardcover, really tightly focused on just executing this core product. And then after that, we're going to tackle our Tiny Horror Toolkit, which is titled to be determined. I'm currently calling it Tiny Gothic Horror. I don't have a better title at the moment, but I'll be trying to think of one. So, and that'll be our next big genre book Kickstarter akin to Cthulhu or Dungeon. Yeah, so that's kind of the quick rundown. Answered the questions that came in. A brief update on the state of Tiny D6, so folks kind of know where things are. And the Beast Patrol book I teased is currently undergoing writing, so that should be pretty exciting. I think that's it. So we're going to call it quick today. There's no worries. We're coming back from vacation. We're getting rolling. But folks, if you have questions about Tiny D6 and you want answers, feel free to drop them in either the Facebook group, which you can find under Official Gallant Night Games Facebook group, or in our Discord. There's an invite in our Facebook group and all our Kickstarter pages and on our website. So just go ahead and look for that. Log in, drop a question, hashtag it TinyTalk so I can collate it. If you don't have another way to reach out, you can hit us on Twitter at GallantKGames. You can hit us with at Alan Bahr on Twitter, and again hashtag it TinyTalk, so we can get it collected. But we'll grab them next week. Mike just said he just missed it. Mike, we only had a couple questions this week, so we went super fast. It wasn't too hard to tackle. So a brief status update on the state of upcoming Tiny D6 products, and there we are. So I think that's it. If you have any questions, feel free to holler at me on any of those places I just mentioned. And we'll get them rolled in next 2 weeks from now on Monday. So Monday, I want to say it's the 23rd or the 22nd. Let me look. Monday the 28th. Sorry, apparently I'm terrible with days. We'll be doing Tiny Talk. This one might be a special bonus episode from the road because I will be in Utah possibly for an event. But if I am, we'll still have Tiny Talk. And I look forward to sharing it with you. I'm excited. All right, folks. Thanks for popping in. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy gaming and game like a hero. Thanks.